This is a plane that cannot be shot down. Air Force One, the exclusive transport of the President of the United States, and the most widely recognized and safest plane in the world. However, at this moment, a fighter jet appeared behind it and fired a missile. It looked as if the missile would hit Air Force One, but the escorting F-15 fighter jet immediately intercepted the missile by using its own body. The reason Air Force One was under attack was that, an hour earlier, a group of armed men, disguised as accompanying journalists, managed to board the plane by using advanced technology to bypass fingerprint recognition. Once the plane took off, these armed men quickly drew their guns and took control of the plane's armory. After gaining access to the weapons, they engaged in a gunfight with the security personnel on board. Hearing the gunshots, the pilot immediately requested support from the Air Force Base. Soon several F-15 fighter jets took off urgently to rescue the plane. As the security personnel on board realized that Air Force One was about to be compromised, they rushed into the conference room and escorted the president to the escape capsule. At this point, the armed men had caught up, but fortunately, the escape device had already been deployed, and the armed men could only watch as the president escaped. However, the First Lady and the passengers on board became hostages of the armed men. Meanwhile, the fighter jets sent for rescue had caught up with Air Force One and positioned themselves on both sides to escort it. Soon they reached the vicinity of the nearest airport, but during the landing, the armed men stormed the cockpit, causing the plane to lose control and veer off the runway toward a nearby lawn. Just as the plane was about to crash into another transport plane, the trained armed men directly accelerated and attempted an extreme climb. Just before the plane collided with the transport, Air Force One performed a critical takeoff, flying back up into the sky. The F-15 fighter jets could only follow suit. Then the armed men used the plane's satellite phone to call the U.S. Department of Defense. They demanded the release of their leader, who was being held by the U.S. military, using the hostages on board as leverage. Otherwise, there would be one less hostage every half hour. Before the vice president could make a decision, another piece of bad news arrived. The U.S. military's Delta Force did not find the president in the escape capsule. This meant that the president was still on the plane. Just when everyone was at a loss, they received a call from the president,